Imagine this. A flight crew forcibly drags a CEO's disabled daughter off an airplane. Just 10 minutes later, 63 airports shut down across the country. Shocking, right? Before we dive into this unbelievable story, tell me where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful and inspiring stories like this one. A young girl in a wheelchair boards her flight, excited to go home, but everything changes the moment the crew notices her disability. What happens next triggers an airport-wide chaos that no one saw coming. 8-year-old Emily was full of hope and courage. Born with cerebral palsy, she had faced many challenges but never lost her bright spirit. She was surrounded by a loving family, especially her father, Richard Matthews, a top CEO in the airline industry. That day, Emily clutched her favorite teddy bear tightly, smiling and ready to board the plane home after a family reunion. To everyone, she was just a brave little girl excited for the journey, but to some on the flight crew, her wheelchair was a problem they didn't want to handle. Everything was carefully planned. Emily's seat by the front exit was pre-approved, and all paperwork confirmed she could board safely with her wheelchair, but the flight crew didn't see it that way. The moment they spotted her wheelchair, the smiles vanished. One attendant frowned and whispered, "She can't sit here." Ignoring the official paperwork, 2 crew members approached her without explanation. Passengers noticed the tension rising as the staff began unstrapping Emily's wheelchair, preparing to remove her from the plane. Confused and scared, Emily stayed quiet, unaware that this moment would soon spark a chain reaction across dozens of airports. Without warning, 2 flight attendants firmly unbuckled Emily's wheelchair straps and began pulling her toward the airplane door. The cabin fell silent, passengers holding their breath. Some gasped in shock. One man even stood to intervene but was quickly hushed. Emily, confused and scared, whispered just one word, "Dad." The crew, unaware of her identity or the storm they were about to unleash, treated her like an inconvenience, not a child. They had no idea that her father was Richard Matthews, a powerful CEO with control over dozens of airports. This cruel act, meant to be hidden, would soon cause chaos on an unprecedented scale. Richard Matthews was in the middle of a conference call with airport executives when his assistant burst in, phone in hand. "Sir, your daughter was forcibly removed from her flight," she said. Richard opened the photo. Emily's tangled hair, her abandoned wheelchair, and eyes wide with fear. His heart broke, but his mind raced. This was no ordinary customer complaint. It was a personal attack. Within minutes, Richard issued a series of commands that no one dared question. He contacted his control centers and ordered an immediate halt to all airline services connected to the carrier responsible for humiliating his daughter. Orders flew across the network. 63 airports were instructed to ground the airline's planes, halt refueling, refuse gate access, and suspend cargo loading. Flights paused mid-boarding. Passengers were left confused and stranded. Pilots returned to gates. Announcements echoed through terminals. Phone lines buzzed as airline staff scrambled to understand the sudden shutdown. What started as a heartbreaking incident involving one child quickly spiraled into nationwide disruption. The airline responsible had unknowingly ignited a massive retaliation led by one of the most influential figures in aviation, a punishment swift and severe, sending shockwaves through the industry. Within hours, a video of Emily's removal from the plane went viral. Social media exploded with outrage, with thousands expressing support for the brave little girl and condemning the airline's harsh treatment. Hashtags demanding justice trended worldwide. News outlets picked up the story, shining a spotlight on the airline's failures. Meanwhile, the airline CEO tried to contain the damage behind closed doors, issuing a cautious apology and calling crisis meetings. But public anger was unstoppable. Fueled by the heartbreaking images and a growing demand for accountability, the fallout was swift. Several top airline executives resigned, contracts were canceled, and new policies were rapidly introduced to protect disabled passengers. Emily's father used his platform to push for lasting change. A month later, Emily spoke live to millions during a disability awareness event, sharing her story with quiet strength and courage. Her message inspired an industry-wide reform, leading to new regulations in 27 airports to ensure respectful treatment for all travelers with disabilities. Emily's experience became a symbol of resilience and progress, proof that one small voice can change a vast system. Emily's story reminds us all, even the smallest voice matters. When a child is silenced by injustice, the world must listen. Louder and faster. What if next time we spoke up before harm could happen? Where will you stand when someone needs your voice? Share this story. Spread awareness. And demand dignity for every traveler. Because every child and every person deserves respect, kindness, and the right to fly without fear.